Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and welcome to the best of 2014 here on Rob's Rogues. We're looking at Nightwing here, and I'll get into that in just a moment. I did want to say at the beginning of this video that these are my personal favorites and my personal figures in my collection that I have either bought in 2014 or were gifted to me in 2014, and they have a release date on them of 2014. So I picked up the Kingdom Come Red Robin figure. That goes a ways back, so even though I got it in 14, he's not part of this, and I have yet to review him. And these are just the ones in my collection. This year is 100% DC collectibles. There's not a single Mattel or NECA or any other company out there. It is all 100% DC collectibles. So this is the first year for that. So it may be something like, well, Rob, what about Doomsday? That was a great figure. That he is, but I did not pick him up, so therefore in my list I can't add him to my top 10 because I don't have him. At the moment, I don't have the Mattel Damien figure that recently came out. Chapman Films picked one up for me, and we are waiting for that to arrive to him. So even though he's out, I can't review him. And so therefore he's not part of this video. Now I thought about saying, well, here's a picture of him, and had I had him in my hand, but I'm keeping it to figures that actually made video camera appearance, or maybe we're really close to making video camera appearance. But as of the last review that you saw, everybody made an appearance with the exception of one, but I'll get into that in a moment. What you're seeing here is the Kutobukiya Nightwing Artifact statue. This is the blue variant, the New York Comic-Con exclusive. And he's going to be an honorable mention. I have one other honorable mention here. The reason I didn't put him in here, that the Batman artifacts and Nightwing artifact statues are the first two statues I've ever owned. Batman technically being the first because that was the first statue my wife gave me for Christmas, but of course Batman came out a little while ago, so he wouldn't fit into the 2014 top 10 list. Nightwing does, but I really haven't had a chance to review him, and being that this is my first entry into the world of statues, I didn't want to take away from one of the other figures on my list because of a statue. Now that being said, I think this guy is amazing. I have filmed the box portion of Batman and Nightwing, and I'm getting ready to get into the actual review. So that will be the next thing that you will see after this video, is Batman's artifact statue and then Nightwing. So I wanted to leave a little bit to show you, like, once you see the statue, you've pretty much seen it all. So I just wanted to get this close up here and be my intro slide for this video. So really excited to get to this review, and I could see the statue bug really starting to nip at my heels and want to pick up more statues. Not only just of the artifacts, but just other statues in general. But just because of my first two statues, and I was having such a hard time trying to pick 10 action figures, I thought I don't want to make it harder for myself. So this is just going to be an honorable mention, and just to kind of let you know what the next two things are you're going to be seeing here. So let's get into the 11th, actual, this will be 12, and the 11th thing that's going to be an honorable mention, but the 11th action figure that just barely missed the top 10. And let me tell you, this was a hard top 10 list to do. So here we go. Here is number 11, the honorable mention. All right, the next honorable mention, or actually the 11th figure, but the honorable mention that didn't make the top 10, is the Greg Capullo Artist Series Talon figure. I gotta tell you, everything from here up is extremely hard. when I did my top 10, I wrote them down, and then I looked at my shelf and realized, crap, I forgot one. And it was a figure that ended up jumping pretty high in my list. I actually ended up jumping up to the 6th figure, which made everybody else slide down one slot. And I was trying to justify doing, well, this is top 11, but it's top 10. So this is one that just barely missed, and somebody may look at this list and go, oh, I would have moved this up farther and moved that down. When you see the 10th figure, I really toyed between the two. But this was a very well-detailed figure. Just all of the knives and everything are completely removable. The swords, the way that it's sculpted, the Court of the Owl's story was great. And it was just awesome to have a Talon, and I want to pick up more of these guys so I could do some army-type building. And it'd be fun to pick up the Batman versus Robin Talon that's coming out, because he'll look different than some of the other Talons. So just very, very cool. But here's the honorable mention. It's the Talon from the Grey Capullo series. Here is the number 10 figure. It's another Grey Capullo figure. Of course, this is Batman from the Grey Capullo series. This Grey Capullo line has just absolutely been fantastic. You will probably see a few more Grey Capullo figures in this top 10. This was one I was real excited to get when he first came out, and my Batman did have a little bit of a QC problem, so I would like to replace him and hopefully get a leg that's the same length as this leg. So I don't know if that caused Batman to be put down to 10, but even that, I still love looking at this figure, and it was so very hard trying to pick this list and saying, this is number 10, and again, I'm probably just going to be saying it really an awful lot throughout this video. But the number 10 figure is the Grey Capullo Batman in my collection. And again, these are figures that I bought. I'm not saying that these are the top 10 figures all over across the country and every other list is wrong. These are just my personal favorites that I have bought and that are in my collection. So they have to be in my collection, and figures that I have to have bought personally or were Christmas gifts or birthday gifts or something like that. So, number 10, the Grey Capullo Batman. Number 9, the Red Hood and the Outlaws Red Hood figure. A Red Hood figure that I know, me personally, I've been waiting for a proper Red Hood figure. I was toying around with doing a custom on my own and almost started one when I found out this guy was coming out, and I thought I'm not going to be able to do a custom justice the way that I would like to when I'm going to get an actual official Red Hood. There were a couple things that I think some of us were disappointed with on this figure. The lack of a waist turn, I think, really bothered a lot of us. Some people didn't like the lips on the figure. I actually kind of did. It gave a little bit of personality into the helmet, but, you know, whatever. The blades on the figure were a problem. They looked kind of cool, but in just posing, Jason had these wings out here coming off his gauntlets that were a problem. So this is the first time I think I've had him on film that you could see that I have cut those off. You can see a little shiny part right there. But I have since painted this guy, and he looks, I think, the way that he should have been. So thank you to Olivia out there for telling me the kind of paints to get and how you matched and mixed them up. It worked out like a charm, and you could hardly notice that he had those blades on. So the number 9 figure, the much anticipated figure, I think, for a lot of us since Red Hood has been out in comics, is the Red Hood figure. I think he's a solid figure and definitely deserves to be in my top 10 for 2014. The number 8 figure this year for me is the Grey Capullo series, Mr. Freeze. I loved this figure. This was one of the more recent ones I reviewed towards the end of the year, and just fantastic in the sculpting. Regardless what you think maybe of his origin or kind of the redesign a little bit, I don't think you can deny just the look and the execution of this figure. Something I really didn't mention in the initial review was the color of his skin. I think I mentioned that he is kind of wearing like a tank top type of thing, but just the painting and the shading that is done to Mr. Freeze, where you could see some of the burns that he had are different shades of blue. Hopefully that camera picks some of it up, but you can see some darker shades and lighter shades of the blue. Just a fantastic sculpted figure. And on the shelf that I have my Capullo series figures on, he's kind of up front. I just love looking at him, the removable dome. I just like this new 52 version of Mr. Freeze, and I really thought out of this wave and kind of out of a line so far, he's really a gem of the line. So if you haven't picked him up, maybe do yourself a favor and do so. But the number 8 figure is the Greg Capullo series, Mr. Freeze. Number 7, Batman the Animated Series, or in this case, the new Batman Adventures DC Collectibles Batman figure. I know some people may be kind of surprised that he came in at number 7. I was very, very excited for this entire line. I don't know if part of me, since I'm still going through Maxwell's figures, and don't worry, Maxwell, the rest are coming. I did one here, I did one there. I'm still in the old school Hasbro Kenner animated series figures. There's part of me that's just like, oh man, buying Batman animated series figures all over again, and I'm getting so close to completing the original releases of these. That being said, this figure is great. The articulation is awesome. It came with so many hands, 2 capes, the display stand. Again, my Batman suffers from a short leg. I don't know what's with me and my Batmans have a shorter leg. But you can hardly tell it now the way I've got him on the armature here. Just wasn't a figure that I was like, oh, this is amazing. I mean, it's great, but there's other figures in my collection, and you'll probably see a couple here that you'll go, really? The animated series didn't make it higher in your list? Just for whatever that it was, it just couldn't crack into my top 5 figures. But still, I love this guy. I'm definitely planning on picking up both Robins, and then I might just cherry pick from the line. We'll see. But number 7 definitely should be in everybody's top 10. Is the new Batman Adventures, Batman the Animated Series, Batman figure. All right, you probably knew she was going to make an appearance again. 6 through 1, the rest of these figures are reviews that I went on a long time about and talked about, and maybe where somebody else would have just said, 5 words instead of me saying 7 words to describe the rest of these figures. But the ones that made the top 5 and then this top 6 here are ones that I just gushed over about either their articulation or their sculpting. This was the figure that I had forgotten that I realized, man, Starfire's review from the Red Hood and the Outlaws line, I made a big production of, did the whole like stripper thing with the mirror ball and all of that. Aside from what she's wearing or what she's not wearing, I thought this was a beautifully sculpted figure. So many times when we get women action figures, they still look bulky. They don't resemble a woman. And I'm not talking that she has to be playing with large basketballs. Bad joke. But I think you know what I mean. It's not like that. I want my female action figures to look like females, to be appealing to the eye and not just look like, oh, they just used a part of a man buck body and they just trimmed this down. That's what I really like about DC Collectibles. They take a really good detail in sculpting their figures to make them look like the way they should, like we want them to jump off of the page. And the next 5 figures include, well, and also with Starfire, I feel that strongly about each one of these figures, that they leapt off the page or they leapt off the screen or whatever it is, So I really wanted her a lot higher in the list, but a couple other things came in that kind of made her drop down to number 6. But a well-deserved number 6. It is Starfire from the Red Hood and the Outlaws line. So a favorite of mine this year. Number 5, the Batman Arkham Origins Anarchy figure. Love, love, love this figure. Initially, I thought he was going to be up in the top 3 when he came out. If you go back and listen to that video, I was just raving about this guy. The material that they used for the jacket, the rubber material, it's kind of like the cape, the way the mask looks, the Molotov cocktail, just every little bit of sculpting through pockets and the dirt and the buckles and the belts and the laces and the backpack, just the dirt and the etching that they did on the jacket to make it look like a winter type of jacket just blew me away. This, as far as the Arkham video games goes, this is my favorite figure from all of the Arkham figures that we've received up to this point. It was my favorite part of the game and is a favorite Batman villain of mine, and I also kind of think of him more as a Robin villain once Tim Drake got his own ongoing series. Norm Brayfogle and Alan Grant created this character, and for people that may not know, Norm Brayfogle suffered a stroke recently, and there's a donation or a collection going around right now to help with some medical expenses. So I wanted to say that too also in my top 5. And, you know, here's a character that the two of those gentlemen, Brayfogle and Grant, created. And I absolutely love this character. I think Hush, Black Mask, and Anarchy are my 3 favorite Batman villains. But yeah, this was definitely, and even as I'm talking about him, I could see myself going, man, maybe he should be 3, maybe he should be 2. But you'll see as the list goes why I chose some of the other ones. But number 5, and a big number 5 for me, is the Batman Arkham Origins Anarchy figure. Great, great figure. The number 5 figure in my collection, you just recently saw him in the video before. Even though I didn't get around to reviewing him in 2014, I did purchase him in 2014, is the Greg Capullo series Commissioner Gordon action figure, who he just recently came out right before New Year's. And we had a family situation with my wife's aunt that had gone into the hospital. I really wanted to try and get the figure reviewed, but family took precedence over doing a YouTube video, and I knew that I really wanted to get him in my top 10. And if you go back and watch that video, which I'm sure if you've seen this one, you've probably seen the Commissioner Gordon review, I just kind of went on about how good this figure turned out. And right now, like I said about the Anarchy figure, I think he's probably tops right now in the Capullo series. I know the 0 Year Batman is getting a lot of love from people just on the sculpting and the design, but to have a proper Commissioner Gordon action figure when we really haven't had a whole lot. Somebody else in the Batman family or the Batman universe that we really don't get hardly any figures of is Alfred. So I would love to think that we're going to get an Alfred figure from the Capullo series, but I think this is a perfect Commissioner Gordon for anybody's collection. I want to say it was the Long Halloween Commissioner Gordon and then the Hush Commissioner Gordon and the Dark Knight Rises have really been the only Commissioner Gordons that have been made in the 6 to 7 inch scale size. So the number 4 figure for me was a no-brainer once I saw that he was coming out and was really hoping he was going to make it for a 2014 release. This Capullo series has just absolutely been fantastic this year. I don't think you can go wrong with any figure, and it was really hard to decide of the figures I had, and there's still some that I have yet to review and some that I haven't bought yet. But number 4 for me, Commissioner Gordon from the Greg Capullo series, and this is the final Capullo series figure in my countdown. I cannot tell you guys how much I love this action figure. I love the design, and I will even go and say this is my favorite Batman figure of the year. Obviously, I think you would probably figure that out since nobody else has made this list. This is the Jim Lee design that ended up being in Earth 2. It is the Earth 2 Batman Bruce Wayne figure. I like it because Jim Lee designed it, and initially people were like, well, is it Dick Grayson of Earth 2 with the Eskrima sticks that he's carrying? Some people thought it could have been Tim Drake, could have been Jason Todd, could have been Damian, but it in fact was Bruce Wayne on Earth 2. And a cool thing in the Arkham Origins video game, this is a suit you can play with. And this is primarily, that's a hard word to say, the main suit that I have the Arkham Origins game in. Through the challenge maps, online play. I have somebody comment that the more they see me online, the more they really like the Earth 2 design. Just top to bottom, this figure is great. Kind of took the Batman look and really gave it this medieval Knights of the Round Table with the like armor that's around here, the pockets, the utility belt. I think everything about this figure is absolutely fantastic all the way around. And sometimes I look at this figure on my shelf and go, what if this was the new 52 version of Batman? Some people may think it's over the top, but in Earth 2, this Batman was far more brutal than the traditional Batman of the new 52, just the harsher environment that they were living in. And this Batman ended up dying in the Battle of Darkseid in the very first issue of Earth 2. I didn't read much of the Earth 2 after that, but this figure, once DC Collectibles announced it for release this year, I had to pick him up. He probably could have been number 2, but number 1 and number 2, if you go back to those videos once you see it, I really was talking these two figures up. So coming in at a very close tie for 2 and 3 is the DC Collectibles Earth 2 Batman Bruce Wayne figure. If you don't have this figure, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic piece. And of the trinity of Earth 2 being Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, I think Batman takes the cake, followed by Wonder Woman, which I would still really like to pick her up. The Superman Earth 2, I think, is could have been executed a lot better. But neither here nor there. Earth 2 Bruce Wayne Batman is number 3 for Rob's Rogues this year in 2014. Number 2, this will probably surprise a lot of people. It is the Teen Titans Wonder Girl figure. At first in the new 52, I didn't know if I entirely liked her costume design. And she wasn't really being very receptive to being called Wonder Girl. Wonder Woman was playing very little or hardly at all into her origin, which I think kind of made a few people mad. And yours truly here, of course, but the more that I waded through the Scott Lobdell crappy version of the Teen Titans, I went through all 33 issues, including the annuals, I did start to like the Wonder Girl character. And now in the next volume of the Teen Titans, written by Pfeiffer, and the artwork that's done there by Kenneth Rocafort, I am really starting to like the Teen Titans, and they're starting to feel more like the Teen Titans. But this figure, I saw the preview images of her. I thought, oh, she looks nice. You know, it'll be nice to complete build the Teen Titans in my collection. But getting her in hand just blew me away as I kick the camera here. And I think that's the fun thing about collecting. Figures that you might kind of normally dismiss or be like, oh, I'll pick it up to just be a completist, or, I'm doing some team building. But getting her out of package and the way that she is sculpted, the look of her face, she was probably one of the last ones. I wish Supergirl's face looked this good. Her face looks like a female. She doesn't have the weird bug eyes. Some people think she kind of looks Britney Spears-ish. Maybe that says something about me kind of liking Britney Spears or something. I don't know. But the coolest feature about her, and I went on about the video, is the clear, iridescent, sparkling gold that is in the costume. I'm really curious how they made her. If she's this all clear gold sparkly plastic and then they painted the red over her, which I kind of think it's that way, or maybe they carved these sections out where she is gold and sparkly and they put that in there. I don't know what they did, but this figure really, really blew me away, and I even think I said it in her initial review. She's probably going to be in the top 5, if not the top 3. I didn't watch the video that long as I was just kind of going through hitting the bullet points, but I believe I said something like that. So this by far was a show stealer for me this year, a figure that I was just picking up to just do a team building part of my collection, and thought, oh, I'll put her with Wonder Woman. She stands very proudly on my shelf, right in the front of my shelf collection, being such a big Robin and Batman fan. To have Wonder Girl kind of be in the front of my shelf, I think really says a lot about this figure. If you don't have her, do yourself a favor and go check her out. You will not be disappointed in this. The number 2 figure this year for Rob's Rogues that I reviewed is the 2014 Teen Titans Wonder Girl figure. Absolutely fantastic. All right, well, thanks for watching. Rob, we haven't seen number 1. Now, I haven't shown number 1 yet. You should know who number 1 is. I have raved about this figure. Some people have said that he is a little out of proportion, that he's a little too tall. I hated this costume initially in the New 52, and now I have really, really grown to like this costume. Let's just get right into it. The number 1 figure, and I'm sure everybody's probably guessed this already, for 2014, my favorite figure this year is Red Robin. Love this figure, head to toe. The only thing that he's missing is a waist swivel. That's all I asked for out of this figure. Other than that, absolutely perfect. This design was executed perfectly. The glider cape really had me worried when they're going to make him into an action figure. I'm like, how are they possibly going to do that? I think they did a fantastic job out of it. Of course, everybody knows I'm a huge, huge Tim Drake fan. Some people have said Rob's figure could have been utterly crappy and you would have put him at number 1. Yeah, maybe. But still, I'm glad that he looks the way that he does. The only thing that he should have come with was his staff. Of course, I said this was the Batman Incorporated Robin Damian staff, which looks 10 times better with Tim here. Red Robin is my favorite character in the New 52, followed right now by Damian in the New 52. I've been a huge Tim Drake fan. If you don't know by now, I have a podcast called Robin, Everyone Loves the Drake that you can listen to on iTunes and Windows Media. But the sculpting, the way the figure looks, and I like it that he's a little bit taller. I'd like to think that maybe Tim is a little bit taller for his age. I don't think he's that out of scale, maybe a little bit, but that's just the big persona that Tim Drake is. So the number 1 figure for me this year, my favorite, it probably goes without saying, is the Teen Titans New 52 Red Robin action figure. I absolutely love this guy. Absolutely fantastic. And there you go. That is the top 10 with the 11th honorable mention of 2014 here on Rob's Rogues that I reviewed. Thank you very much for a wonderful 2014. To all the new subscribers out there, thank you very much for taking the time to tune in to this collection. And I just noticed that I broke something on my Batman right here. There's a Scream Stick just snapped off. He fell just a moment ago. That is really disappointing. I got to find that Scream Stick. Very, very sad. But thank you for tuning in and watching. It means the world to me that people have checked out this channel for over 3 years now. Let me know what you think about the top 10. I'm sure that there's some figures on here that people are like, oh, you know, I would have done so-and-so or such and such, or I went back through your channel and looked at this or looked at that. But these are the figures that I liked the most out of the year, the ones that I talked probably the most about or went on and on about in the video. But thank you very much for a wonderful 2014. I'm excited what 2015 has to offer, and it is the 75th anniversary this year of Robin the Boy Wonder. So I'm hoping we get some fantastic things from DC Collectibles and whoever else wants to produce Robin stuff this year. I will try and pick up as much as I can. Thanks for watching this year, and the next thing you're going to be seeing here on Rob's Rogues is going to be the Artifacts Batman and Nightwing. Thanks, everybody. And here's to 2015. Well, here we are at the end of another year. Well, actually,